Hi, Great Fire Science Community. You get to join me today from Colorado. We're doing science with my nephew and with Holly for week 17. We are still studying physics. Do you guys remember what physics is? We're studying motion, how things move. Last week we studied force, right? Today we're going to talk about how force is used to move stuff, right? We talked about the different kinds of forces, like it's not just applied force, like hitting something with a baseball bat or pushing or pulling something, but that you can use magnets, electricity, gravity, tension, springs, buoyancy. Lots of things can apply forces. And we also talked about normal forces, how if I have this apple sitting on this plate, gravity is pulling down on it with a force, but the plate is equally pushing up on it. That's why it doesn't get sucked into the middle of the earth, right? So that's called a normal force or a balanced force. When we have an unbalanced force, that's when we see things change. Remember, it changes location, direction, speed, or shape, right? And we talked through lots of examples. And last week, I had so much fun making the Suzanne, the world record holder paper airplane. And we talked about the forces of gravity or weight pulling down on airplanes, and lift, pulling it up, and pushing it up. And then thrust, pushing it forward. With paper airplanes, that thrust only comes from our hands. And then drag is the wind causing resistance, slowing it down. Today, we're going to talk about work. I love work, don't you? No, don't think of it as the way we normally think of work, like going to a desk and sitting at a computer for a long time. Work in physics is force applied to something over a distance. So let's say I dropped this pencil, okay? Was there a force acting on it? Holly, what do you think? Was there a force acting on it?
Yeah.
What made it drop? Gravity, right?
Yeah.
So was there any work done? It was a force over a distance. It changed location. What if I drop the pencil and pick it up? Did it change location? It ends up in the same spot. So even though it moved, all the forces acting on it canceled out essentially. What about if I go and push as hard as I can on the wall over there? Show me your muscles, you guys. Go and try to move one of the walls in your house. Don't do that. Don't do that. You might actually break the wall. And then you might make a hole in the wall, and that would be bad, and your mom would be mad. But if you push on a wall, does it move? No matter how hard you push, that wall's not going to move. So is there any work being done? No, right? It's okay, Aiden. So there's no work being done because there was no distance, okay? What about if I push on a chair? Aiden, I'd like you to come sit down. I push on this chair right here. I'm going to push this chair. Was there work done? Yeah, it's force over distance. I have a song for you guys. I know my 5th grade boys especially love songs, so I hope you sing extra loud. Work is a... Sorry, I started out wrong. Aiden, would you mind not talking for a minute? Work is force exerted over a distance. Work is a force exerted. You guys, I'm going to have to start over. Man, I try to be good at this, but sometimes it doesn't work out. Okay, work is force exerted over a distance. Work is a force exerted over a distance. Work equals F times D. Work is force times distance. You got it? You try it at home. One thing to make work easier, since let's say I have a huge 100-pound suitcase worth of ski gear with me, is it easier for me to carry it up a flight of stairs or pull it up a ramp? Which one do you think is easier? A ramp, of course. A ramp is a type of simple tool or machine that helps us do work. Kind of like, for example, That's called an inclined plane. Have you ever tried, let's say you had a piece of styrofoam or Play-Doh. I'm going to use my nephew's Play-Doh right here. Let's try to make a hole with the end of this pencil eraser. Ready? 1, 2, 3. I was able to make a hole, but I had to push pretty hard. What if I take the tip of the pencil? It goes in really easily. This is called a wedge. It's the same thing like on a saw, or if you have a knife. Is it very easy to cut an apple with the back side of the knife, the flat side? No. They have this angled side, which is a wedge, and I can cut right through my apple with it. It makes the work easier. I have to apply less force. Another simple tool is a lever. One time, Mr. Campbell and I were doing work at our church, and we had to pull the truck around behind the church on the grass to do some yard work. And the truck got stuck in the mud. Thankfully, there was a CrossFit gym right next door, and some guys, really big guys, saw us over there. And what's interesting, they said, hide this away, you boys, for when you're older and 16 and you want to go out and get your car stuck in the mud. We kept trying to put something flat under it to get traction, and we found out you had to actually put a log, something big on it to get it up over it. Not like a flat, we tried cardboard and it would just go flying out. The log, instantly the truck came out. But another thing you can do when you're stuck in mud is you can wedge something underneath it and try to push down on it. That's called a lever. Same idea when you're trying a hammer, you can hammer a nail in, but this end, you can use that to catch the head of a nail, and you push down and it can pull the nail out. That's a lot easier than if you try to pull a nail out with your hands, huh? That would be really hard. Again, it makes it easier for us so we don't have to apply as much force. Another simple tool. Oh man, we just finished building our deck with these. We have lots of them lying around. These Trex deck screws. But have you ever noticed the way a screw is? A nail is kind of hard. You have to pound, pound, pound. Whereas a screw gradually works its way into the wood. You can make your own version of this by cutting a piece of paper. Can you give me a pair of scissors, Aiden?
Yeah.
Let's see. What happened to our scissors? We're going to cut a triangle shape out of our paper. Okay, it doesn't matter what size. And you can wrap it around a pencil. You start with the big end of your triangle and wrap it around a pencil, okay? Just like this. Wrap, 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 wrap. And eventually, you will see kind of the same little twist of a screw. Now, which is easier, which requires more force, pulling your fingers up, or if you just go up and around? See how your fingers will naturally go up without you having to do any work. So this hand is not having to do anything. It's naturally going up because of that angle in the paper. Make sense? So a screw makes it easier for us to do work. Some other simple tools around. A wheel and axle. Like, have you ever tried to pull a tarp full of leaves? Oh my goodness, we had so many leaves this fall. And it's so heavy and there's so much resistance. And it takes a lot of energy. If we load our tarp full of leaves on top of our wagon though, the wheels make it easier to pull, right? It reduces work. Another simple tool is a pulley. Have you ever seen a pulley, Aiden? So I'm gonna actually we're gonna do an experiment. I'm gonna use this toy that my nephew just took out. Can you go find a piece of string for me? Okay. I wanna try, actually, look, we have one of these in our Play-Doh set too. We can use this probably, okay? And you can use anything around. I've also used, so you can use a rolling pin. You can use a bobbin from your sewing kit and put a pencil through it. And what you do is you're going to take a string or any kind of cord or rope you have. Tie a weight to one end of it and try just lifting it up. You're lifting the full weight of it, right? So you better be strong if it's a big weight. I'm gonna have Aiden come on over, bud. You're gonna be my YouTube star of the day. Here, you're gonna hold this for me. Can you hold on, nope, we're not chit-chatting, we're doing our science. You're gonna hold this out in front of you. If you have a buddy hold a pulley like this, You just run your rope over it and you can lift your string and it cuts the weight that you're having to pull in half. Isn't that cool? Now, if Holly, let's say you put down the apple. I'm gonna have you hold this one, just on one side. You're gonna hold this one. Hold it sideways, babe. Just here, hold it sideways like that, okay? And you're gonna put it right here in front of his. Now, let's say I have the weight over here on this end. I can run it over 2 pulleys, and now the amount of weight I'm having to pull is cut in half again. So I'm only lifting 1/4 of what I was lifting. Can you guys go around your house and try to find some things that make work easier? Ask your siblings, ask your parents to go around with you on a scavenger hunt. Have fun with the memory work this week, and I'll see you guys next week.